Hello and welcome to our live lesson today. We're having a few technical issues, but just bear with me because for some reason everything has moved and has gone into different places and should be in different things. But never mind, we're not going to worry about it. We're just going to plow on and see how we get on and hope that everything works all right today. Technology, it's great when it works and not so great when it's playing up, but never mind. So today we are going to start looking at the seasons. We've got 4 weeks until the half-term break, and it seemed a perfect opportunity to look at specifically the 4 seasons. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Now, as usual, I always suggest that you have with you either a piece of paper, a pen or a pencil, or it could be that you have got with you the worksheets that we make available on the Facebook page as JPEGs and on the website as PDFs. And everything that you need for today's lesson is on the worksheet. So either use the worksheet, or if you haven't got access to the worksheet, don't worry, you can use a piece of paper and a pen and it will work just as effectively, so don't worry about it. Okay, so let's see if I can get this technology working properly. That would be great, wouldn't it? It isn't playing ball this morning, but we will plow on and see how we get on. I'm not going to worry about it too much. As long as you can access it all, that's all good. So today, the focus of today's lesson is going to be looking at 2 specific things. Well, you can see there we've got a keywords. Keywords, it's basically means important words that we use within music. And the first keyword that we're going to be using is tone poem. Now, a tone poem is basically an orchestral piece of music that illustrates what the piece is about. So it could be it's describing a picture, it could be it's describing a poem, it could be describing a landscape or something that is actually happening in real life. It could be any of those things, and it is describing it through the music. So we're going to have a listen to a tone poem today, and we're going to look at and listen to how the composer makes it descriptive of the specific thing it's looking at. The second keyword there is accent. Now we think of the accent of an accent as being maybe how you talk, where you come from, the certain way that you speak. So I have a Midland accent, and I would say bus and I would say butter. But if you come from the south of England, your accent would be that you would say butter and you would say bus and things like that. So your accent is, in that instance, where you come from and how you deliver your words. But in music, it means something different. In music, it actually has a special symbol, which looks a little bit like, you have the more than and less than symbols in maths. It looks like one of those. And it goes over the top, like a little arrow over the top or underneath the note. And it basically means accentuate that note, make it stand out, make it more prominent. And we're going to have a look at how you can use those things within music to make your music even more interesting. Okay, so those are our 2 focuses today, tone poem and accent. So let's have a look at the tone poem that we're going to be exploring today. The tone poem is called On Hearing the First Cuckoo in Spring, because today's focus, the lesson, is all about spring. And it's by a composer called Delius. This was written around about 1912, 1913. And this piece is a tone poem, and it means that Delius uses the music to illustrate what the piece is about. And in this instance, it's hearing that first cuckoo in spring. That's what he's trying to describe through the music. So what I want you to do, if you could, is listen to the music. I'm going to play it to you. And what I want you to do, just an excerpt of it, because it's about 5 minutes long. We're not going to listen to all of it. But what I'd like you to do is, while you're listening to it, see if you can identify where the cuckoo is. See if you can hear where the cuckoo is. Now, I'm going to just disappear, I hope, if I can get it to work today, just while you're listening to it, so that it is not a distraction. Here is just that beginning bit of the first cuckoo in spring. Okay, I wonder if you could hear the cuckoo. Could you hear that cuckoo busily going cuckoo, cuckoo in the background? So we're going to have a little listen to it again, but this time what I'd like you to have a go at doing is describing how Delius illustrates this first cuckoo of spring through the music, and maybe write down your ideas. If you're using the worksheet, then the worksheet gives you the opportunity to write down your ideas on that first page and come up with as many ways that you can think of, and maybe describe which instruments as well you think are making the cuckoo sounds, for example. And then we'll have a little chat about exactly what is going on. So here it is again. It's not from the very beginning of the piece of music. I've taken a section sort of from the middle through towards the end. It's not quite at the end. So we're starting this piece of music, this excerpt, from part way through. And just as always, this is a track that has been created by me specifically for theatre of music. No live musicians. It's all computerized. But do have a listen to the a live performance of it. It's well worth it. Here we go. So if you get your ideas down and see what you've come up with, let's have a little chat about it and talk about what is actually going on in the music for this. So the cuckoo idea, you can hear actually being played on the clarinet, and it's played on the clarinet. It's moved around the instruments a little bit, but predominantly in this particular part, it's being played on the clarinet. In other bits of the music earlier on, it was played on the oboe, which you obviously haven't heard, but it's the clarinet playing it in this instance. And it's what we would call very pastoral. It's a pastoral piece. It's sort of describing nature and the landscape. And we discovered this in when we were looking at Peer Gynt, and we were talking about mourning. And we discovered when we were listening to that very often when composers are describing nature and they're talking about nature, they use the woodwind instruments, because woodwind instruments just seem to lend themselves to it to describe nature. And so again, in this instance, that's exactly what we've got. We've got the clarinet illustrating the cuckoo, and Delius is also using the flute as well within the music. The piece, and you wouldn't necessarily know that it's in C major, but it is in C major. It's using the scale of C major. And we associate major keys with happy music, optimistic. And you could say that that sort of illustrates that new beginning in spring. There's optimism, there's joy. It's a 6/4 time signature. Now, if you said it was in 3, you could sort of split it into 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's actually the second musical idea. The first musical idea is the cuckoo. The second musical idea, which is the part that's being played on the strings, is actually a Norwegian folk tune that Delius has sort of incorporated into his composition, called In Ola Valley. And folk music links with traditions, and again, it sort of makes it more pastoral idea, in Ola Valley. So it's describing a place. So that idea of nature and bringing it all together and describing it within the music. You could also maybe put down something about that the tempo doesn't stay the same all the way through. It gets a little bit quicker and then it slows down, and then gets a little bit quicker and then it slows down. We call that rubato. It's sort of rubbery. You're sort of molding it and moving it around and changing things. So that's another way of sort of making this piece of music very expressive. And dynamics, when you think about the louds and the quiets, it sort of surges, it gets louder and louder, and then it pulls right back and becomes quiet again and calm. I suppose, nature is a bit like that. You can be absolutely silent, and then you can have a flock of geese go over, and all of a sudden it's really noisy, and then it goes quiet again. Or you can just be listening and you can hear crickets rubbing their legs together to make their sound, or the birds, or there's actually, if you sat outside and just sat still and listened to nature, there's a lot more going on than you think. But you need to be quiet and still to be able to absorb all of that. And I am sure that Delius did some of that to sort of get a feel for how he could make this music as expressive as he did. It's a beautiful piece of music, and I really would suggest listen to a live performance of it. Really do, because a computer version is absolutely fine, but it's not the same. It's not the same. You don't get that same sort of expression through a computer that you can get as a person. So do listen to the real McCoy. Now we're going to listen to another piece of music. Let's see if I can get this to work. It's really not Happy Bunny this morning. Okay, we're going to listen to a piece of music. Well, actually, we're not going to listen to a piece of music. I'm telling a fib. We're going to look at a piece of music called The Rite of Spring. And the reason we're not going to be listening to it is because it's still within copyright. It's not within yes, it is. It's still within copyright in the UK, but it's in copyright everywhere else as well. Because the composer was still alive in the 1970s. And the rule is that it has to be 75 years, certainly in the UK, 75 years after they have passed away, then it becomes in the public domain. So we can't listen to The Rite of Spring by Stravinsky today, but I would suggest that you go and have a listen to some of it. Now, this is a really special piece of music. It was written around about the same time as Delius wrote the piece of music on Hearing the First Cuckoo in Spring. So they are contemporaries of each other. The Rite of Spring is a ballet, and it was written for the Ballet Russe, who were performing in Paris, and Stravinsky was asked to compose a ballet for them. And it premiered on the 29th of May 1913 in Paris, and it was very experimental for the time, not just musically, but the choreography, the dance moves as well. And the performance was described as very avant-garde. It's very rhythmic, and absolute truth, it caused a sensation at the time that it was actually first performed. And some sources say that there was almost a riot that took place. Now, it depends on the source that you look at, and some of them were written after the fact. So, you know, it's up for debate, but there was enough people that were booing and shouting. That definitely took place at the performers, because they were just shocked. They couldn't believe what they were seeing because it was so different. So the choreography, normally we think of ballet dancers as doing pirouettes and, you know, like Swan Lake in Tchaikovsky and all this beautiful movements. No, the ballet dancers were actually using their feet, and so in a different way. They would sort of turn their foot out and then just sort of move like this across the floor, which was bizarre for the audience. They just couldn't take it all in. The music itself was also very out there. For the time, it was very rhythmic and worked perfectly with the choreography, but people just found it a little too different at the time. And so what's happened basically since is it's very rare that you would see Rite of Spring performed as a ballet. It has been performed since 1913 as a ballet, but I think it was done in the 1980s. But it's not performed very often. People perform it as an orchestral piece in a concert, as so you would just sit and listen to it rather than actually see it danced, which is very interesting that's the sort of take that they've taken upon it. Now, what is the Rite of Spring about, and why am I talking about it? Why is it relevant to what we're doing today? Well, it's very, very relevant. The ballet is based on a story of a pagan ritual, which ultimately leads to a young girl being selected to dance herself to death, which is not a particularly cheerful topic. The music is sort of, you know, illustrating what is going on. But the reason that we're looking at it is because when you perform the Rite of Spring, the music uses accents. And you can see in front of you a rhythm. So we've got 4 beats in a bar, and I'm counting in 8s, just to sort of make it easy. And actually, when you listen to dancers, if you've ever been involved in theatre or dancing and things like that, when you hear them counting, they very often count to 8. They don't do 4. It's 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and they sort of block things in 8s. So that's why we're counting in 8. So you can see the numbers underneath, and there are no accents at all in the first 8 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can you see how that changes the feel of the rhythm? So I'm just doing that with my voice and with words as I count it. Let's just do up to what would be bar 8, so into the second line where I've just stopped. Let's do that together. So what I'd like you to do is to count it, say the numbers out loud with me, but to accent the number that has got the little accent symbol over the top of it. Okay, so I'm going to count 5, 6, 7, 8 to get us in, and then we'll do it together. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now let's try and clap that. So we clap normally for the numbers that aren't accented, and then on the beats that are accented, we clap loudly. We accentuate, we make it more prominent. So here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we could use any instrument to do this. We use our hands, we could use our legs, we can use body percussion of any description, we could use a drum, we could use a tin with a spoon, we could use anything to do this. Let's see if we can do it along with a track. Now it's going to be a little bit quicker on the track, but we'll see how we get on. Accents, rhythm to play, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I am not having a lot of luck with technology this morning. I really am not. Right, let's try that. Let's try that again, because it decided it was going to do all sorts of weird things on the screen over there. Let's do that again. So you can see how much quicker it is, but you can feel the change in the rhythm as we go. So let's do it again. So you'll get your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 just to count you in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Easy? Let's see if you can do it without me. Let's see if you can count it and do all of those beats without me. So let's take it back and try again. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so you can hear how putting those accents in makes a difference. Now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take that screen away and give you a blank screen. And what I want you to do is have a look and think about where you would put accents. Okay, so you've got on the screen there in front of you, and if you've got the worksheet, you will have it on the worksheet as well. You've got the two rhythms there. So the top one is with the accents in, the bottom one is minus the accents. Have a go at putting in some accents. So if you're using the worksheet, you can draw them in over the top. If you're not using the worksheet, what you could do is write down the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and write it out 4 times, because we've got 8 sets of 8 there, but we repeat them. So the first 4 and then the second 4 are exactly the same as each other. So what you could do is have a go at writing down the numbers and then putting an accent over certain ones and pick out which ones you want to have accentuated, made more prominent. So have a little go at that and draw in your accents. You don't need lots. You can see that from the Rite of Spring rhythm there, it's not lots of rhythm, it's not lots of accents. That's the whole point. If it was full of accents, it doesn't give it that interest, it doesn't give it that sort of thing about it to make it sort of more interesting. So think carefully where you're going to put those accents. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you the drum rhythm without the sort of marimba, I think it was, over the top that was accentuating the rhythms from the previous one. I'm just going to play you a drum rhythm, and I want you to have a go at counting your beats and accentuating where you have put an accent. Okay, it's exactly the same length as the previous one. So here we go. Let's give it another try and see how you get on, because it might be that you'll find it dead easy. It might be that you're finding that a little bit more of a challenge. Remember, the first 8 is sort of an introduction just to get you into it. So here it is again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll do it one more time. And we're just to confuse you, aren't I mean? Just to confuse you, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the original rhythm at the same time as you clap your rhythm, so that you can hear the effect it has when you have the 2 different accented rhythms going at the same time, just to give it a little bit more interest. Okay, so here we go. I will clap my rhythm with my accents, and you clap your rhythm with your accents, and see how the accents work against each other. So here we go. Was that easy, or was that really quite hard? Was that a bit of a challenge to be playing the same time? So I'm playing one rhythm and you're playing another. Was that quite difficult? It can be, but it's something worth practicing, because playing along with somebody else and doing 2 different things at the same time is quite an important skill as a musician. Because if you think about it, anybody who performs in an orchestra or in a band, that's exactly what you're doing. You're performing as an ensemble, as a group, and you are doing different things in the music at those times. Okay, now those are all of the things that we looked at the beginning of the lesson. We talked about a tone poem, and we've listened to On Hearing the First Cuckoo in Spring, and we've talked about how Delius used the music to describe the cuckoo in that pastoral scene. And we've also looked at accents in relation to the Rite of Spring by Stravinsky, and how that makes music, the rhythm of the music, more interesting by accentuating, making it more prominent, certain rhythms, just to sort of give it that, elevate it and make it more interesting for the listener. But we have reached the end of today's lesson, and there are things you can do with what we've done today. You could have a go at writing a melody using either the accented rhythm that I've given you or the one that you've created. And you could have a go at playing your melodic idea along with the rhythm track that we've just had there. So you could create a little piece of music quite easily, I would imagine, out of the notes G, A, B, D, and E. Or if you think of it, if you want to, you could move it to just the black keys on the keyboard. That would work just as well, because the scale I've just said is a pentatonic scale, a 5-note scale, and it is basically just moving everything off the black keys and moving it onto the white ones. So either of those, have a go at creating a little tune that you could then play the accents within the melody as well. That would be a really interesting piece of music, I'm sure. So we've reached the end of today's lesson. I hope you've enjoyed it. Next lesson, obviously, we will be moving on to another season. So next week, we're going to be looking at summer, and we're going to be exploring pieces of music that describe summer, and we're going to do a little bit of singing as well, and performing, just as we have done today. And then the next two will be autumn and winter, so that we are covering all four of the seasons. And at some point, we will listen to a bit of Vivaldi's one of the pieces from his Four Seasons. But I thought Rite of Spring and the Cuckoo piece were perfect for today. If you feel that you could help to support me to create more of these resources and more lessons and different topics and things like that, please do consider popping along to the Ko-fi website and clicking on Theatre of Music tiers and basically sort of sponsoring me to create these resources for you. So, end of today's lesson. It's been an interesting one technology-wise. It's still playing up, but we've managed it. We got through, and that's the important thing. So, I will see you all for the next one when we will be looking at summer. Bye for now.